Hey everyone, Mark from Coast to Country. Today's video we're going to try and turn this block of Redgum post basically into a polished bench. I've got a shack down the river, I've got a low wall on, I want to put a countertop on it. So I'm going to split this in half, run it through the jointer and the thicknesser and varnish it, and hopefully we'll be able to make some sort of rustic bench out of it. Okay, so the first headache was getting this timber out of where I stored it 20 years ago. I went to a clearing sale, bought a heap of Redgum Posts. All the one I wanted, which had a bit of length to it, was right in the middle of the pack. So I spent a good half an hour pulling all this apart and getting the one out we wanted. So shifted all these ties. Don't know why I'm keeping all these ties, but there you go. So anyway, we got it out and we're just going to rip it in half now, and hopefully we can get something decent out of it. Okay, so this is the Redgum sleeper. It's got a bit of a twist in it. Can't do much about it. I've had a bit of a look at it. The best way I think to split it will be down the centre, and then I can run it through the jointer. I've got a nice flat edge here. This part's got a big twist in it. So you can see she's got a bit of a woof in it. I've marked the centre line, set the guide up on the saw, and I'll try and rip that, flip it over to the other side, and then we'll get two halves, and I want to biscuit join them together for a bench. Right, I think this is going to really struggle, but we'll give it a go, see what happens. Might have to go to plan B, we'll see yet. Ta-da! Bit of varnish. Happy days. You just got to be careful your drink doesn't get stuck on those. Well, that cut that a heck of a lot better than I thought it was going to. New blade definitely makes a difference. And the fact this is all nice and dry now probably helped too. Okay, so what we need to do, this is actually going to be a bit short, so I need to make it another 70mm longer. So I'm going to have to get a bit of an offcut of another piece I had, and we'll try and make them the same as these, and I'll biscuit join them on the end. Right, so that sleeper was a little bit short one end, I've got to add to it. I've got some offcuts here. This particular bit's the similar type of material, real sort of younger Redgum, but it's a bit short. This bit here is a really old piece of Redgum, it's got real marbled grain. So that'd come up really nice, except it's probably too good for what I'm trying to do here. So what I'm going to do is sacrifice the end of one of these posts that we've got. I'll probably regret it later, but this is the shortest one here anyway. So what I'm going to do is try and cheat and pull that out a bit and get the chainsaw and cut a little bit off the end. Right, that should do the trick. Right, that'll give me plenty to extend that out now. Right, I'll now just run this through the jointer or planer, and we'll try and get one nice flat edge onto this slab. So what that should do is take all this off and get us one nice flat surface, then I can work with it. Alright, you can see we've got one nice straight flat edge now. So now I can work on that, that's dead flat. Now I can put that edge up against the fence here, and then I can get a 90 degrees corner. Alright, so now we've got a nice 90 degrees corner there. And I'll go around all sides now and do the other pieces of timber as well. And then we can start picking out which way we want to lay these, and then we'll biscuit join them together. So the old jointer's had a bit of a workout today. All this sawdust, or shavings, which are actually not bad at all, we'll bag some of that up and we'll use that for our smoker when we're doing some fish and things. Okay, so after we ripped all that through the jointer, we've got all those pieces all squared off on the edges. They're not necessarily parallel exactly, which doesn't matter because we're only going to join them together and then I'll make them parallel later. So this is basically, I've worked out which way I want it. This will be the bottom because there's a couple of little bits of a hole there, bit of a checkpoint there. So it's going to go like that. And we'll biscuit join these together and then we'll trim up the ends and then we're going to join these on as well. So you can see where the little wormholes are, so that's been opened up that way. So that'll be the top of the bench. So I'll biscuit join these together, clamp them up, and then I'll run it through the thicknesser once I join these on as well, and that'll get this dead flat level and exactly parallel that way. It'll make sense as we go, and then we'll router it, varnish it, call it fixed. Right, along our piece of timber we're about to join, I've just marked where I want to put biscuits in. So we've got our biscuit jointer here, which basically has got a little saw blade in there which spins around and cuts out a little groove so you can put little biscuits in, join the two halves together. So we'll get going, we'll cut a groove into there and we'll join them together. Right, so once you've cut the grooves in along here where we want them, you get your favourite biscuits. We're using Ritz today, going a bit classy. You can use Jats, and they just go in there like that. Okay, so if they don't work, you can basically just get the biscuits that come with it, a bit of plywood, and they'll sit in there like that. And then you can join your timber together. Do a cut on the other side and just slot it together. Right, next thing is get a heap of glue and put it on both sides, both surfaces, and in where the biscuits go. Right, so then we just get our little biscuits, put them in, make sure they're in the centre. Right, so now it's just a matter of clamping that together and leaving it for a good 24 hours, and then I'll cut the ends off and join the other bits. So you just get a damp cloth and wipe off any excess glue. Not that it really matters greatly, but it saves a bit of cleanup later. Alright, so we've clamped all that together, let that sit for a good 24 hours. Quickly did this little end piece as well, and once that's all dry, then we'll cut this off square and join a block on the end and go from there. So I'll leave that for a day and I'll get back to it later on. Right, just bagged up a bit of that Redgum. It's nice clean shavings, no oil in it or anything, so that'll be good for the fish smoker. Right, so it's not 24 hours, but I've just cut the ends off of these square, and I'll cut the end off of that one square as well. I'm just going to biscuit join these and join that end onto here, and then I'll get that clamped, and then they'll be pretty much ready at the same time. So tomorrow I can carry on. Right, so we've let that set, we've taken the clamps off, so now we've got our slab. I'll just have to run that through the thicknesser now and get this down to exactly the right height. Clean off a bit of this, and then we'll trim it to size. Right, I'll just put this through the thicknesser, and this might be a struggle because it's pretty solid for what it is. So all I'm doing is trying to get this dead flat. There's still a bit of a lip there. As soon as I've got this out, I'm going to flip it over because this is literally getting glued on top of a wall. That's why no one's going to see this hole there and that big check there. You can see inside here, maybe you can't with the GoPro, but you can see the biscuits sticking out down the bottom there. Like I said, this will get filled. So it's not too bad. This machine's working pretty hard. It's not really designed for this sort of stuff. So I'm only taking off, you know, 1/2 mil at a time. Just taking it slow. You can see it's starting to burn a bit. But anyway, once we get this flat, we'll flip it over and then we'll start doing the surface. So this is struggling a bit, and the blades in this are the originals. So when I bought it, I bought new blades for it, and I haven't replaced them, so I'm about to do that now. Basically what you do is just take out all these Allen key head screws, and we'll pop that blade out, have a good look at it. I think you can reverse these around as well. They've got a double cutting edge, one each side, so we might be able to just flip the old blade over and see how it goes. But yeah, it's definitely cutting like powder, so it definitely needs changing. Right, so I've taken the screws out of that plate. There's a face plate that sits on there, comes off there, and in here, blades are just there. There's a magnet on the back of this spanner I've just found out, so I'm hoping, there we go, got to grab the old blade out. Not sure if you can focus on that, but it's got quite hot. It's actually surprisingly not bad, but anyway, this here is the other side of the original blade. You can see that's brand new. So this is even better. I just have to swap them around. So you can see the centers of these blades are a bit dull. So she's done a fair bit of work, this blade, so definitely time to flip it over. They've got little locators that keep them where they have to be. So I have got a new set there, which I don't need to put in just yet. I'll just rotate this blade around, chuck it back in, and hopefully that will make a big difference. Alright, so we've got a new blade in, and the torque setting on these was, I think they're German specs. They're good and tight. Oh, they were hard to get off, so I'm going to make sure they're hard to get on. Right, we'll do the other side now. Okay, so we've changed all 3 blades in here, reversed them around. So I'm not sure if that'll focus, but you can see that's the blade there. So there's 1, 2, 3. So they're all pretty sharp, well, they're brand new. And self-alignment, so they're just got locator pins in there once you flip them over, so that's good. Tighten them up some ridiculous torque, just cranking it basically. I'm not what it's supposed to be, I should read the instructions, but they're super tight. So anyway, I'd be interested to see the difference now. Far out, that certainly made a difference. Should have done that years ago. Making nice chips now. Well, that is 100% flat now. Well, that was what, 1 and a bit passes. So now I can flip this over, because that is actually the bottom. I'm going to flip it over now and do the top. Should have changed that blade over yonks ago. They're the original blades. Anyway, that's beautifully nice and flat on the bottom. So what we can do now is flip that over. And now this is actually the top of the board that we want to use. So what I'll do, in theory, it should go through without cutting anything. But what I will do is actually wind this up a little bit. Just a tiny bit. because sometimes you can get high and low spots on the top of a board. In theory, it shouldn't do a thing, but we'll just do that for a safety check. I'll whiz that one through now. I'm not expecting it to actually cut much, but we'll see what happens. Far out, that's not too bad. So now we know that that bench is 100% parallel to itself. It's come up right. Not 100% happy about this little joint here. My miter saw is at a different location, so I had to cut that by hand. I'm not too worried about it. We've got a scribe out around a pole, and there's going to be vertical blinds hiding a lot of this. So, and it is going down to a shack, so it's probably not a bit of an overkill anyway. Anyway, that's cutting so much better with the new blades on. Should have done that ages ago. All right. Anyway, well, I might do one more very light pass on this, just to see if I can get a couple of these little slight, well, marks where I've stopped pulling it through. I'll try and get it through in one go this time, and then we won't get any of these, and I won't have to sand it. So we've got it now the right thickness we want. It's parallel that way. Just need to get these two lines here the same. All right, so now we've got 22.1 there. So we just obviously just shaved that little bit off there down to a taper. Now that's parallel with that. I can run that back to the jointer and get a nice sharp edge. Alright, so just going to router the edges of this now. Right, just quickly cutting up some of these knot holes and things. Just got some standard PVA glue and cleaned out the hole first, whacked a bit of glue in, mixed a bit up with the sawdust that I've had floating around, and basically just a matter of shoving that in the knot holes and any little dings that you've got. Then once it's full, we just rub a bit on the surface, and then when we sand that later, it'll come up like, you won't even know it's there basically. Alright, we're just down here at the shack. So this is the wall that I'm going to put the top of this bench on. So it's only about 80mm thick. So what I've done is made a template up the thickness of this piece of Redgum. And what I'll do is I want this to go right up around this pole here. So what we'll do is just scribe around, and I'll cut out the exact shape of this pole, so when I get home I can put this back on the Redgum and then cut out the Redgum exactly. When we get back, it should drop straight in. Alright, so scribe that out. I've got to move this little corner in a tiny bit there. I cut a little bit too much off, but I'll mark that on the template, and that's pretty much where that's going to go. It's off centre because I've got a coat rack I'm going to hang on this side here. So that should be alright. I'll do a few more measurements and then we'll get home and be able to use that as a template. Okay, so here's our jig for the other side. Lock in like that. Alright, so back home again. I forgot to video cutting this bit out, but anyway, all we did is put the template on the end of our bit of red gum. I've actually routed around here quickly as well. That's where that post is going to go. So we cut that out with a jigsaw. We're just doing a bit of a quick cut first because I'm going to take this back down to see if it fits, and then I'll tidy it all up. So I'll just cut the other end. So this is the other end already started, then I remembered I have to record it. So all I've done is put the jig on here that we made. Same thing, just routed where I needed to. This is just going to go around the corner there, finish there, and then this is where the post is going to be cut out. So I'll just cut this quickly with a circular saw just to get a bit of the bigger stuff out, and then I'll get a jigsaw now and cut around that circle and do a quick first fit down at the shack and see if it's going to fit. Alright, we'll take that down and see if it fits. Right, so here we are doing our first fit, and it's a little bit tight. So you can see there, I've just put a pencil on around that post. Then take out about 2mm, and that should drop in hopefully. So then that should slide all the way down there. Alright, so that's how it's going to fit. So we just scribed out all around there, trimmed it a few little bit here and there. Had to cut out this little plastic joiner, make it fit. So that's pretty much it. So I'll take that back home now, sand this, sand all these putty holes and things, get this dead flat and polished up, and then we'll give it some coats of lacquer. Okay, so we're back home, and what we'll do is give this a bit of a light sand now. We'll get rid of where we've puttied. Just got a bit of 80 grit sandpaper on a orbital sander. Right, I've just hand sanded that with some 320 grit. It's pretty fine, so that's got a pretty good finish now. So we'll get all the dust off that, and then we'll give it some coats of varnish. Okay, finished sanding, and just giving it a very light coat on the bottom of the bench here, and that's all I'm going to do for that. So what I'll do, that's just to seal it a tiny bit, and then that's going to get glued down to the wall anyway. So we're just going to flip that over now, and then we'll do some multiple coats on the side that we want. So we're just using this Bondel brand Ultra Gloss, and it's terps based, and a little nap roller. So that's just the first coat anyway. We'll let that dry, and then we'll give it another one. Okay, so we've let that dry overnight and given it a really gentle sand, and we'll now put a another coat on and see what it comes up like. Right, those little bubbles will slowly disappear and that should even out. Okay, we'll just give this a bit of a light sand with the 240 grit sandpaper, just to knock off a few little high spots. Very light sand. Doesn't look like it feel much, but you can actually feel the difference. There's a few little, where that little air bubbles have popped. You can feel that. Just knock the rough surfaces off. Then we'll get a tack cloth and give that a wipe, get the dust off, and give it another coat. So I won't bore you with that, we'll just get into it. Okay, I've given that a light sand, and then I've just gone over it with a really clean cloth, and you can see the fine sandpaper powder coming off the varnish. So that's super smooth now. There's no little lumps and bumps that you can feel. So we'll put another coat on top of that. This will be its third coat. Okay, so this is a nap roller. Yeah, basically it's got these little baby bubbles everywhere. Give it a bit of time, they all disappear. So it's going on quite nice. Alright, so I finished varnishing the slab. We're just going to install it now, and all I'm doing is putting a bead of liquid nails down, and that will be plenty to hold this. Well, that's it guys, thanks for watching. If you haven't hit the like and subscribe, that'd be great, and I'll see you on the next one. Cheers.